Um, let's forget about all the nice things you said about me, because it's all irrelevant if this teaching turns out to be a bomb. So hopefully it's not a bomb.
Hopefully.
But I must say, it has really worried me, because it's not a normal teaching. I don't think I've received teachings on love from the lamas. It's usually sort of included in the four immeasurables. You know, may all sentient beings be happy from that perspective, but usually it's fairly short. It's a sort of step on the way to I was going to say compassion, but actually we should be thinking about great compassion, great love, bodhicitta, enlightenment. Love is sort of on the way. So when they asked me some time ago to teach on love, immediately I said, oh, yes, oh, yes, that sounds interesting. And then I started thinking, goodness gracious, what am I going to do? What am I going to teach? So I really started thinking about it. And then I started thinking, particularly in this time, like Nina said, about how people are contracting. And in Dharma, we talk about not contracting, opening up, and wanting to benefit others, wanting to help others, wanting others to be happy. So in the Dharma world, that's what we say. But actually, when we're faced with really difficult situations, perhaps the instinct is to contract, is to withdraw. So I was very happy to agree to teach about love, but also it was a concern to teach about love, because we have to teach from a perspective of not romantic love, but the love of the mother for the child, wanting the child to be happy or wanting others to be happy, but without the attachment. And that's quite tough for us as Westerners. It's quite tough, whether you're from Asia or Western or Canada or America or wherever, for these practitioners, particularly new practitioners to Dharma, love without attachment is difficult. So I accepted, but it was also a challenge for me. And I hope it's going to be a challenge for you, because if it's a challenge for you, it also means that you're going to grow out of this situation. So I'm going to start with prayers. It's traditional for us to have prayers. So we have taking refuge, four immeasurables, seven-limb prayer, which is quite long, but will be auspicious, and short mandala offering, just to prepare the ground, to prepare the mind to be able to listen to Dharma and to be able to consider why we're spending this time, what we're doing with this time, not for ourselves, but we're actually doing it for the benefit of family, friends, and then all sentient beings. So we start with refuge prayer. Sangye chodan soki choknam la jancho badu dakni kyapsu chi dagi chunyang gipe sonam ki drola panche sangye dropar shog. Sangye chodan soki choknam la jancho badu dakni kyapsu chi dagi jinyan gipe sonam ki drola panche sangye drapar shog. And we'll do in English. I take refuge until I'm enlightened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By my merits of listening to the Dharma, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I've lost my voice, Lillian. Now you'll have to teach. The four immeasurables. May all mother sentient beings, limitless as space, have happiness and the causes of happiness. May all sentient beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May all sentient beings not be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May all sentient beings abide in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion. 7 Limb Prayer. You lions among humans, gone to freedom in the past, present, past, and future, in the worlds of 10 directions, to all of you with body, speech, and sincere mind, I bow down. With the energy of aspiration for the Bodhisattva way, with a sense of deep respect, and with as many bodies as atoms of the world, to all you Buddhas visualized as real, I bow down. On every atom are Buddhas numberless as atoms, each amidst a host of Bodhisattvas, and I am confident the sphere of all phenomena. I've got this thing in my throat, Lillian. I really think you need to go on, and I have to go home. No, she keeps giving me cough drops. Phenomena is entirely filled with Buddhas in this way, with infinite oceans of praise for you and oceans of sound from the aspects of my voice. I sing the breathtaking excellence of Buddhas and celebrate all of you gone to bliss. Beautiful flowers and regal garlands, sweet music, scented oils and parasols, sparkling lights and sublime incense, I offer to you, victorious ones. Fine dress and fragrant perfumes, sandalwood powder heaped high as Mount Meru, all wondrous offerings in spectacular array, I offer to you, victorious ones. With transcendent offerings, peerless and vast, with profound admiration for all the Buddhas, with strength of conviction in the Bodhisattva way, I offer and bow down to all victorious ones. Every harmful action I have done, with my body, speech, and mind, overwhelmed by attachment, anger, and confusion, all these I openly lay bare before you. I lift up my heart and rejoice in all positive potential of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas in 10 directions, of solitary realizers, here is still training, and those beyond, and of all ordinary beings, you who are the bright lights of worlds in 10 directions, who have attained a Buddha's omniscience through the stages of awakening, all you who are my guides, please turn the supreme will of Dharma. With palms together, I earnestly request, you who may actualize paranirvana, please stay with us for eons, numberless as atoms. I've got 5 feet. In the text here, it says, as atoms 5 feet, he world. As atoms, I think, of the world. Isn't it? Have you got 5 feet also? Oh. For the happiness and well-being of all wanderers in samsara, whatever slight positive potential I may have created, by paying homage, offering and acknowledging my faults, rejoicing and requesting that the Buddhas stay and teach, I now dedicate all this for full awakening. 5 feet. I thought the Buddha was much taller. The short mandala offering. We'll do in English. We've been practicing in English, haven't we? Whether we get a chant going or not is another thing. This ground, anointed with perfume, strewn with flowers, adorned with Mount Meru, the 4 continents, the sun and the moon. I imagine this as a Buddha field and offer it. May all transmigratory beings enjoy this pure land. Idam Guru Ratna Mandala Kam Niryatayami. Well, 5 feet. I looked in the Lam Rim to see if there was a chapter on love. There wasn't. It comes under 6 causes and 1 effect, or 7 causes and effect. You know this Lojong thought transformation part where all beings are your mother, all beings are being kind, repaying the kindness of the mother, like this. The 4th cause, meditation on the love that comes from the force of attraction. I thought this was interesting to start with. This is Pabonka Rinpoche from Liberation in the Palm of Your Hand. So he says, this love appears in the form of a heartfelt cherishing and affection for sentient beings. Love through the force of attraction, said Geshe Patoa to an old woman, is just like the love you have for your son, Toliko, never heard of that name. In other words, love through the force of attraction is being attracted to all sentient beings as if they were your own children. This love is not a separate meditation topic. You will develop it automatically when you have developed some feeling for the preceding 3 sections: understanding all beings to be your mother, remembering their kindness, and wishing to repay their kindness. So you contemplate as follows. I can discount the uncontaminated happiness in the mind streams of all sentient beings. I can discount or remove or forget, the uncontaminated happiness in the mind streams of all sentient beings. They have only the contaminated sort. So Pabonka Rinpoche is saying that when you are viewing sentient beings, you have to view them as contaminated, not them, but the mind is pure, but obscured or contaminated by karma and delusion. So Pabonka Rinpoche was saying, I can discount the uncontaminated happiness. I can say that when I'm looking at ordinary sentient beings, I'm looking at all of them. What am I going to find? Contamination, not uncontaminated. If it was uncontaminated, I wouldn't have to liberate them. But because they're contaminated, then I'm looking at the contamination. Actually, I'm going further than he's gone. So let me not go further than that. Even the thing they take to be happiness has not transcended the nature of suffering. What we take as happiness has not transcended the state of suffering. Right? So when we think we're happy, we're not actually happy. We're not really, the modern thing, quotations, really happy, because contamination is stopping us from experiencing true happiness. How wonderful if all sentient beings had happiness. May they come to have it. I will procure for them such happiness. So I think this is really key at the beginning, that no matter what those sentient beings are doing to you, somebody's angry with you, somebody's upset with you because we're in lockdown, people aren't getting what they want, things are going wrong, maybe finances are difficult, relationships are difficult, etc., etc. We're experiencing many, many problems. It's like we're in a worldwide pressure cooker. So because we're in this worldwide pressure cooker, some better, some worse. I know in Switzerland, they're starting to take the foot off the brake. In Australia also, they're taking the foot off the brake. What happened yesterday? The foot was off the brake, and somebody flew in from Victoria, I think it was, into Brisbane, went to see his family for an overnight visit on his way to northern Queensland for, I think, sugarcane cutting or something like that. He had coronavirus. He went to visit his family, 15 people. We've had 0 new cases in Queensland. Now suddenly we've got 1, but we may have 16 before you know it. So you take the foot off the brake because people really want the foot off the brake. We want the foot back on the accelerator. Let's get out of reverse. Let's get into first gear. Let's get moving. We want to play sport. We want to get out. Yesterday down in town, so many people. You went down yesterday? So many people. Before it's been deserted. You know, no traffic, it was perfect. No traffic, you could go into a store, you could get through the store really quickly. It was perfect. Now we have loads of people who want to get out. You know, here we're in winter, just gone into winter, and it's a warm day. Young kids want to go out. Everybody wants to go out, but the dangers are there, right? So the danger, what Pabonka Rinpoche is saying is the main danger is from karma and delusion. We're thinking the main danger is from the virus. But when you're exposed to the virus, not everybody gets the virus, and not everybody gets really sick from the virus, and not everybody dies from the virus. So what is the key, the connection between the virus and people getting really sick? The karma to get sick, the karma to experience harm. So he said, I can discount the uncontaminated happiness. Forget it. In the mind stream of all sentient beings. If we could find uncontaminated happiness in the mind stream of all sentient beings, we wouldn't be talking. We say, why bother talking? I'm happy. There is no contamination. I'm fine. I'm doing great. Every day, bliss, bliss, bliss. But we're not like that. He went on to say, ordinary sentient beings have only the contaminated sort. So that's what we've got to investigate. What does it mean, contamination? What are we contaminated by? Even the thing they take to be happiness has not transcended the nature of suffering. So the first noble truth is the truth of suffering. We have the truth of suffering, then the cause of suffering, the second noble truth. But the first one, suffering, he's saying our happiness hasn't gone beyond that suffering. We're in trouble, right? We've got suffering. We want to be happy. His Holiness the Dalai Lama always says, wherever he goes, whoever he teaches, they all want happiness, they don't want suffering. It's a common theme that he has. They want happiness, they don't want suffering. So here Pabonka Rinpoche is saying, yes, that's true. You know, sentient beings do want happiness, they don't want suffering, but they haven't gone beyond suffering. They're still stuck in the state of suffering. Why? Because we have a sickness. I'm not talking about virus or anything else, but we have a sickness, this suffering. We want to establish suffering. Well, then what's the cause of the suffering? What can I do about the suffering? Because I don't want to experience the suffering anymore. But watching this present situation, like Nina said, we can hunker. I don't know if you understand the word hunker down. Is it common to hunker down? You don't even know. God, she's Canadian. She doesn't even know. Oh, I see. Do you know the word hunker? Okay. Well, nod. Nod as if you know. She's nodding now. So to hunker down, to sort of go low, get prepared, keep your energy to yourself, sort of put the force field around you, and I'll be okay. I'll be fine. And when I come out of this virus situation, then I'll start to open up to others and I'll be okay. Because at the moment, there's a lot of suffering going on. Was it Brazil where I heard that one person is dying a second? Something like that. And you've got this president who's sort of opening it all up because there's a fear of the economy imploding. Now Australia's going into recession. So it's really affecting the economies. So the politicians are weighing up human life, economy. And they're afraid that if they keep the economy too closed, and so people don't have enough money, they will turn against the politicians. And when it comes to voting, they'll be out. That could be a simple explanation. Why am I talking about that? So we have our sufferings, whether it's money problems, whether it's the virus problem, whether it's family problems, whatever it is, we have our various sufferings. And in Dharma, it says there is going to be suffering because you are a human being. You're like a magnet for that suffering. Your karma and delusion is like a magnet drawing those sufferings to you. Unless you remove the cause of the sufferings, karma and delusion, because they're together, unless you remove the cause of it, then you're like a magnet for those sufferings. And yet you want real happiness. By being a magnet, these sufferings come to you. And then all the teachings of Dharma are how to transform, how to take a bad situation, a negative situation, a suffering situation, and transform it, how to make it better. Because if we don't know how to make it better, if we don't know how to change our behavior, we're going to keep repeating over and over the mistakes that we've made in the past, which have become habit, which then become personality, which then become the way we respond to the world. Isn't it? Makes sense, right? So, for me, when I came into Dharma, then I knew about attachment love. I knew about attachment compassion. I knew about, many things from a samsaric point of view, samsaric perspective. But I also knew it wasn't perfect. You can love somebody with attachment, but when the attachment is there, the hook is there. And that hook is what I want back. I'm going to, give you these flowers. Well, what are you going to give me? Like that. The hook is there. And that hook creates pain and suffering when it's not fulfilled. I always used to make a joke about Christmas. That, Christmas, you max out your credit card, clutching your credit card, you go down to the shops and you think, now last year on this person, I spent $200. Now this year, I'm going to spend $300 and they're going to be so happy. Projection, right? You're projecting into the situation what you think they're going to experience when you give them whatever that gift is. So the love, attachment love, is I want you to be happy, but actually I want to be happy. I'm doing something for you, but really it's for me. But I'm not going to say that because it sounds selfish, So if I said it out in society, I'm giving you this gift, but actually it's for me because I want me to be happy, then people would say, oh, doesn't sound too good at all. You're not such a nice person. So we keep it all under wraps. We keep it all quiet that, I'm giving you a gift and may you be happy. But how many of us really give gifts without that attachment, that hook of wanting something back? So, I used to make a joke of it that you buy this beautiful gift, you get it beautifully wrapped and the bow on the top and all the rest of it, and you give it to your friend, and your friend sort of smiles but doesn't seem over happy about it, and then puts it to one side and says, I'll look at it later. And you say, no, look at it now. No, I'll look at it later. Don't worry about it. I'll let you know what I think about it. No, really, look at it now. Because I want to see your reaction. I want to get something back from it. So imagine that. Imagine if you give something beautiful that you think is beautiful, and they sort of unwrap it and they go, oh, can I take it back? Do you have the receipt? How would you feel? These are just ordinary samsaric things that go on I think in America, in the United States. Now, pretty much people give the receipt along with the gift because it's assumed you won't want the gift and you're going to take it back and exchange it. So it can be assumed like that, just, oh, this becomes part of our culture. I give you something, I know you're not going to like it, so I don't spend too much time thinking about it anyway, because you're going to take it back. It could be like that. It could be somebody putting a lot of energy into it, a lot of projection into it, and still the other person doesn't like it. Or if the other person really likes it, they light up. Wow, incredible. It's what I always wanted. But they don't give you anything back. How do you feel? So you see, in our society, what I've discovered is that the idea of love is not difficult, wanting others to be happy. The difficult part is the attachment. The difficult part is that hook, wanting something back. Very powerful car going past. It never happens. But I tell you, when I teach, it happens. So, one thing I want you to meditate on is suffering. You think, oh, wow, this must be Venerable Namgyal. He's back at it again. Suffer, suffer, suffer. I want you to meditate on suffering, because if you don't familiarize yourself with your own suffering, how are you going to deal with other suffering? In order to have that affection for others and that caring for others, you actually need to understand their suffering. And you can't understand their suffering unless you start with your own suffering. So in Buddhism, we talk about how the knife is at the chest, suffering. The knife that you created in your mind is at the chest. And in Dharma, what do you do? Do you lean forward or do you lean back? As Nina said, many people are leaning back. I'll take it easy. There's a virus going on. It's a horrible time. Let me relax. And when it's all over, then I'll become a Dharma practitioner. It's like saying, when I retire, then I'll meditate. Or when I retire, then I'll start the Dharma. We need to start the Dharma now, because we can't guarantee we've got tomorrow. We can only say we have today. This is not pessimistic. It's just the way it is. We can never guarantee there's tomorrow. So we need to start the Dharma today. We need to imagine the knife is in the chest, pointing at the chest. Now, what do? Do I lean forward into the suffering? We don't like it. We don't want to. Like me and doing this video teaching, I can tell you, this is leaning into the knife. But we lean into it because then we realize it's not as bad as we thought. It's not as sharp as we thought. It's not as painful as we thought, because we're becoming braver. We're becoming stronger. We're on the Bodhisattva path. The Bodhisattva path is to have courage and strength, to be the warrior, not the warrior, not this one, the warrior sitting at home, biting the nails, but the warrior, we're going for it. We're going to eradicate all suffering. But in the eradication of all suffering, we need to start with ourselves, with the motivation that I'm going to help others out of the information I receive about myself. So it's not selfish, because there is a difference between sitting at home for months just obsessed with your own happiness. I need another Coca-Cola. I need another ice cream. I need, but it never ends. It's said that desire is like drinking salt water, and it just goes on and on and on. You know, it's incessant once you start with desire. So we're not on the desire path. If we were on the desire path, this investigation would never finish. And you probably have a wonderful time because you'd investigate just ordinary ice cream, vanilla ice cream, and then maybe strawberry ice cream, and then maybe ice cream with chocolate on, and then with sprinkles on, and then it could never end. But our investigation into our suffering is an understanding and an acceptance of it. Where does the suffering come from? It's not given to me. It's not put onto me by an external being, because many people blame the virus, they blame the politicians, they blame the country, they blame the world, whatever, but they're putting the blame externally. What we need to do is put the blame internally, and this is tough, to put the blame internally. I remember my first teachings at Copan. I often like to give this example of when I was first hearing the Dharma, and we had a nun who was talking about hell for 2 weeks, the 18 hells in detail, I think probably from Pabango Rinpoche. But she was going on and on and on. And we were all so depressed and sort of dragging ourselves to the dining room. Who wants to eat? Because we're all going to hell. And then Geshe Lama Kuntrog talking about how they're not to blame, you're to blame. In the sense of your self-cherishing is to blame, your self-grasping is to blame for all of the problems that you're experiencing. You created the karma, you experienced the result. This is a tough teaching because we're not brought up in the Dharma, most of us. We come into the Dharma later, and often we have this feeling that actually there is somebody out there we can blame. It's easier to put the blame on somebody else than to put the blame in here. But this self-grasping, self-cherishing that I've been doing from beginningless time has created this samsara that I'm experiencing. And unless I go into that experience, internal experience of my own, then what I'm always doing is looking outside for their experiences, but actually not really understanding because I don't really understand my own. So we have to start with ourselves, which is really a smaller picture, in order to get to the bigger picture. We have to start with the macro lens to go to the micro lens, to go to the bigger lens, whatever the technical words are, who knows? Maybe Steve does, but I don't. So we have to go bigger. But where do we start? Smaller, focused. So we need focus, we need attention, we need mindfulness, but mindfulness with a purpose. We're aware of this knife at the chest. We're aware of who created that knife. I did, not they put it at my chest. I put it at my own chest. So then I breathe and I lean into it. Where does the knife go? The knife moves back, away from you, not towards you. This is really, I think, the first lesson in being the Bodhisattva, that when you lean into the pain and the suffering, it doesn't intensify, it doesn't get worse, it lessens. What intensifies the pain and the suffering, what creates more fear and anxiety, is leaning back. If I just lean back, I'll be okay. I'll just have, whatever example you want to, chocolate, ice cream, movie, whatever it is. If I just have that and forget about the pain and suffering for a couple of hours, then it'll get better. But the more you plant those seeds of fear and anxiety, the more that you do not have courage but in a way have doubt about the Buddha's methods, then the more that fear and anxiety is going to grow, and the less you will be able to go into the suffering, the less you'll be able to internalize, to go in, to look at what's in there, because that's your ground. That's where you're going to start. We have to start with what we are, who we are, what we have. This is my samsara. It's not your samsara. At the moment, we think we're all experiencing the same thing, but I'm sitting here looking at me, talking to me. It's a very bizarre experience that I'm sitting here talking to myself, right? So I sort of look over my shoulder a little bit, and I look at the Tara, and I think I'm talking to Tara, and she's sort of nodding and saying, "Wow, Venerable, this is so true."
There is a way to improve the situation, though. Not that it's not good to look at Tara, but if you click in the upper right corner on the gallery view, then you will see many of the participants who are now.
Oh, that's even worse.
At you. Okay.
I prefer looking at myself.
Okay.
I've never seen such a lot of grim-looking people in all my life. I'm joking. That's confusing. Seeing all of that is suddenly confusing. Okay, so where am I? This is my samsara. This is my ground. You have your samsara, your ground. You have to know what that ground is in order to start removing the ground. Because we need to go to groundlessness, right? Zero ground. We need to take that ground away. Because at the moment, what we want is to make ourselves stable, to be firm and stable on the ground. I'm firm, I'm stable, I know what is, I know what is not, I know what's good, I know what's bad. Very much like that. We're sort of, we like structure. And in the beginning, in the Lam Rim, it gives you a bit of structure. It says, well, precious human rebirth, so fortunate, but hang on a minute. Aren't things shifting? Aren't things moving? And you go, well, yes, but not too much, I hope. As long as the bad things are moving and the good things are staying. So we start bargaining. I want to keep these things, this can stay, and the smelly, horrible, whatever it is, can go. We start bargaining. But we can't bargain. Doesn't work. We have to understand our ground, understand that we're heading towards groundlessness, impermanence, shifting sands, start allowing for things to change, and start allowing the negative to change, to soften, and to improve the positive. And in the improving of the positive, be careful that you don't start bringing into it the hook, the need for that hook that says, now I want back from you or back from all of you. So I've been so good to all sentient beings. Now I want all sentient beings to be good to me. I think we have to be careful of this bargaining that on the Bodhisattva path, that we're going to be doing all these good things for sentient beings, and then something bad happens to us, and then we totally turn against the Dharma because we feel it's not fair. Why me? I'm a good person. I've been working for the benefit of all sentient beings for the last 3 years. How could this happen to me? So be careful of not making a Dharma situation into a bargaining situation. Unconditional love as opposed to conditional love. In my experience of teaching Westerners over a few years, what I've discovered, I can hear somebody talking. Yeah, mute that person. What I've discovered over the years of teaching is that subtly in the back of our minds, we still have that hook. Because we think that if I'm a good person, I do good things, which in this case is love. I want you to be happy. Then what's going to happen is I get it back. And I talk about the boomerangs that go out and go around and come back. So you have these love boomerangs or flower boomerangs, if you like to think of them like that. You're sending them out. But when are they coming back? Probably not this lifetime. If you've got very powerful objects, your parents, the Buddhas, Sangha, maybe some of it could come back. But usually these things ripen in future lives. What could ripen in this life is terrible sickness. Or you lose all your money, bankruptcy, your house burns down, you lose everything. And then you think, why me? It's not fair. But then why not? If you've created the karma to experience the result, why not you? Right? So that's why I'm sort of preparing you to start thinking about what are you bringing into this love teaching that's going to contaminate the teaching? Because we already said, Pabanko Rinpoche already said, we're contaminated. We have contaminated minds. So it's like the vase of water, tall vase of water, with the mud at the bottom. So you've got this thick mud at the bottom. You've left the water alone, and the mud just sinks to the bottom, settles. The water looks clean. This is like your mind and the disturbing emotions, the negative karma. It looks like a good situation when you're in good conditions. Your mother's cooking for you, she's ironing for you, your TV programs are great, you've got, you can view anything on the computer, and you don't mind the virus at all. Or you've got no money, so the electricity's been cut off, you can't find a job, etc., etc. You can start getting really irritable and upset because you can't manage. It's very difficult. That would then start disturbing that mud, which would start coming up. So the irritability and the anger could start coming up. And if we haven't prepared ourselves for the difficult times by thinking about, contemplating on, and meditating on love, which is the antidote to impatience, anger, irritability. If we haven't prepared ourselves at the time when we have difficult situations, the habit can reappear. And that habit can be irritability and anger, strong anger, when all the things go wrong. So we have this situation of clear mind, karma and delusion, which is like the container, the glass container, with the mud at the bottom, and then the water. And the water looks clear, which is like the clear mind. But when you shake up the container, the mud comes and it permeates the water. It looks like now muddy water. This is when we have disturbing emotions. And when you leave the mind alone, that mud sinks to the bottom and then settles. And the disturbing emotion goes away. The problem is the disturbing emotion, the potential is still there. So you have two things to do. One is to purify, to remove the disturbing emotions, the negative karma. And the other is to start developing the mind in the direction that you want to go. So that no matter what happens in your life, you're living the life that you want to lead. You're being the person that you want to be. as opposed to reacting to the situation. If we don't have training, if we don't have morality, if you like, or your teacher, or the Dharma, whatever it is, wherever you're getting your information from, if you don't have that direction, that sign pointing you in the right direction, then you can rely on Google, Google Maps, and Google Maps directs you, and you're sure she's taking you in the right direction. And then, like happened to us before in Australia, you go down this dead-end road and she says, do a U-turn and go back up the road because you're in the wrong road. You totally trusted her. So you have to know what to trust. You can trust the Buddha Dharma because for 2,600 years, it's proven that by following it, you become His Holiness the Dalai Lama, Lama Zopa Rinpoche, Lama Yeshe. You can see all these great teachers who've come from the Dharma. The examples are there. But we're baby bodhisattvas. We're just at the very beginning of the path. But how do we move quicker, further along the path? We need to have this feeling of faith, not having doubt in the Dharma, having faith in the Dharma. You can test. But once you've tested, you need to stop testing. You can check out the Dharma, but if you keep checking, then that's continuing with doubt instead of continuing with faith. So you check, you decide, this is the path that I want to take. I want to be on the Bodhisattva path. Now I start to investigate my suffering because I want to go beyond suffering. I don't want to just live in suffering. And suffering is like the knife pointed to the chest. So the first thing I said was investigate the suffering, sit with it, be with it, give it space, breathe it out, allow it, instead of struggling with it, instead of fighting with it. Then secondly, when you lean forward psychologically, when you lean forward into the knife, what happens? If the knife becomes bigger, longer, and actually pierces the heart, oh, well, what can I say? You've got great imagination. But what should happen is that the knife moves away, gets smaller, weaker, because it's been created by mind. There's no tangible knife existent. It's empty of existence, but actually we create it and we believe in its existence. So once you start investigating your suffering and giving it space and going into the feeling of the suffering, how does it feel? Does it have a color? Does it have a shape? How does it make you feel when you sit with that suffering? Does it feel comfortable to have suffering? And if it doesn't, then you understand how others feel with their suffering. But you're a Dharma practitioner. Mostly they're not. So when you're sitting with your suffering and you're allowing it space, you're giving it space, that's vastly different from somebody who has no Dharma practice, who's just suffering. And Buddha said, suffering is suffering. You know, we have suffering, but we don't have to suffer. It's not that it's mandatory, you know, you must suffer, but this is the reality. We are suffering. Look for the cause of the suffering. Karma and delusion. Then how to start working with the path, how to start changing our minds, how to start viewing the world in a better way, Then we come to, may you be happy, may you not suffer. So the first one, may you be happy, of the four immeasurables, is the opening of the heart and the connecting with others and their suffering, and not wanting them to suffer, but actually wanting them to be happy. You see their suffering, but you want them to be happy because of this feeling of attraction. I thought it was interesting the way Pabanka Rinpoche used this word attraction, because usually in the West, we think of attraction more as in a boyfriend, girlfriend, or whatever sort of way, you know, that sort of attraction, isn't it? But he was talking about, I think, if you don't have attraction for all those sentient beings, then what do you have? Sort of like, oh, well, who cares? Whatever. You know, it's what I call the whatever category. We used to call it uncaring. But nowadays I call it whatever, because young people say, oh, whatever, you know, what would you like for dinner? Whatever. Do you want to go to the beach? Oh, whatever. You know, that sort of, I don't care. You can get me to do anything, but actually not. They have an opinion, but it's sort of whatever, whatever. We've got to be careful not to drop into that whatever. All the people suffering in another country, oh, whatever, you know, my country is experiencing suffering. Isn't that enough? You could think like that. But in this case, it's a blockage. It's stopping you from developing great love. We have ordinary love with attachment. We have love, unconditional, for sentient beings. And then we have great love, which is without exception, we want all beings to be happy. This is a huge challenge. In these 4 weeks, we're giving you a huge challenge, because you've got to go beyond those parameters that you've set up, those boundaries that you've set up, where you say, okay, I can do this for my mother, my father, my 20, 30, wow, 50, that's a lot. You know, we're talking about countless sentient beings. And our mind's saying 50, or Italian family, 200, or Greek family, 200, or Mexican family, you know, 200, like that, or 500, or even 1,000. Wow, you think, wow, 1,000. To unconditionally give love to 1,000, isn't that incredible? Well, it's nothing compared to all sentient beings who are suffering, don't want their suffering, and they want help. And who's going to help them? We are, because we're saying we care. We're on the Bodhisattva path. But if we can't develop great love, how are we going to develop great compassion? How are we going to get bodhicitta? How are we going to become enlightened? We have to have this foundation. We have to start. So this great love, going beyond the limitations of the mind. As I said, first go into the mind and become aware of the limitations. Because we may think we're very good people. Most Dharma students think they're really good people. But when you start challenging with these meditations, you start finding the parameters. There's a boundary here, and a boundary here, and a boundary here, and anybody who wants to get in needs a special passport into my parameters. So we've got to gradually move out. We can't do it all at once. Move the boundaries, move the parameters, move it gradually until in the end, there are no boundaries. In the end, all sentient beings are the object of my love. And my love is what I offer them, not what I want back from them. It's what I give, but not what I expect to receive. Because I'm creating the karma that what will come back is love, may not be from these people, may not be in this life, but I'm creating the karma to experience the result. It's going to come back even more powerful than what I'm giving. But that's in the future. So if I'm looking for instant results, you know, sometimes you give something to somebody and they can slap you. What did you do that for? You know, I don't like you. Don't give me this. You think, oh, can't help sentient beings. If you base it on their contamination, then you discriminate, isn't it? If you base what you're doing on their contamination, on their karma and delusion, how they behave, then what happens is you're looking for the right response. I give you this, and you smile, and you give me something back, and I think, oh, this works. Or I give you one flower, and you give me 5 flowers back. I think, wow, this works. I like this. It's like gambling, you know? You put everything on number 8. I'm sure this is going to work, and you put all your love onto one number, and then it wins big, and you get more back, and you think, wow, this really works. I'm going to put it all on this, and then you lose it. You lose everything. And you think, I'm so depressed because I thought I'd made some sort of system. Karma and delusion, there is a system, but we need the omniscience of a Buddha to understand the system. We don't understand the system because we're sentient beings with contamination. We're behaving from contamination. We're seeing contamination. That's the nature of samsara. And that's why we stay in samsara, because we keep reacting from contamination. But we need to start changing that, to improve that situation, not to stay in that situation. So how to start improving? Look to yourself, look what you've got, look at the ground that you're standing on, but expect to have that ground taken away from you. Have a ground, but we're looking for groundlessness. Look at the knife. We're looking for knifelessness. Goodness. Knifelessness, right? First of all, we think that the knife of suffering is pointed in the heart, but as we lean in, not lean back, investigate what happens. Does it become stronger? Does it become weaker? Do you become stronger because you realize you're creating the knife as opposed to the knife victimizing you? You are not a victim, right? You have karma and delusion, but you can do something about it. So you're not a victim. So I have my little book. Before we're going to have a short break, but this is from Thich Nhat Hanh. A Swiss friend of mine gave me this book from Thich Nhat Hanh on love. And at the time I thought, well, I'll never need that. Took it to India, took it around Europe, brought it back to Australia, and here we are using it. I like this story from Thich Nhat Hanh. It says, heart like a river. If you pour a handful of salt into a cup of water, the water becomes undrinkable. But if you pour the salt into a river, people can continue to draw the water to cook, wash, and drink. The river is immense, and it has the capacity to receive, embrace, and transform. When our hearts are small, our understanding and compassion are limited, and we suffer. We can't accept or tolerate others and their shortcomings, and we demand that they change. But when our hearts expand, these same things don't make us suffer anymore. We have a lot of understanding and compassion and can embrace others. We accept others as they are and then they have a chance to transform. So the big question is, how do we help our hearts to grow? It's clever, isn't it? Think about the salt that you put in the cup. That amount of salt, say 1 tablespoon of salt in water in this cup, would be too unbearable. But put that same salt into a river, unnoticeable. The difference is the amount of liquid. Small amount of liquid, big. Small heart, big heart. Difficult situations are manageable with a big heart. Unmanageable with a small heart. He's saying, with a small heart, you become irritable. You start judging and criticizing all your family, your friends. You want to tell them what to do and how to do it. You know, often make jokes about relationships and say, in the beginning, it's all lovey-dovey and, you know, everything's wonderful and whatever you do is wonderful. And after a year or two, you've got a list of things that they can change. And they have a list of things that they want you to change. And once you start doing that, if you do all these things and change like this, then I'll be happy. And they're thinking, well, if you change all these things, then I'll be happy. Once you start that, it's conditional love, not unconditional love. And the irritability and the anger starts to arise. So we have to learn how to help our hearts to grow. And what helps the heart to grow is love, not anger and irritability. So we'll have a few minutes break so people can go to the bathroom, have a quick cup of tea, whatever. And so say 6 minutes. And then after the break, I think I'll lead you in a short meditation, because we don't get to meditate very often in teachings. And I think it's useful for you to know how to meditate. So we'll do a short meditation also. And then we have an opportunity for questions if you want to ask questions. But I think my teaching is so clear, who could ask questions? Anyway, you can try. So 6 minutes. Goodbye. I'm just reading the Buddha pronounces the Sutra of Maitreya, Bodhisattva's attainment of Buddhahood, translated from Sanskrit into Chinese in the Yao Qin dynasty. Thus I have heard. At one time, the Buddha was staying in the kingdom of Magadha, near the Pasha mountain, where past Buddhas subdued the Maras. It was during the summer meditation retreat when the Buddha was doing walking meditation on the mountaintop with Shariputra. Then he spoke in verse, "Hearken single-mindedly. In radiant great samadhi, the one with unsurpassed virtue will rightfully appear in the world. That one will pronounce the wondrous Dharma, and all will be infused with it. Like the thirsty drinking the sweet nectar, all will swiftly set off on the liberation path." I think I've forgotten the ability to speak. At that time, the 4 groups of the Buddha's disciples repaired and leveled the roads. They sprinkled water, swept the streets, and burned incense. A huge multitude, holding objects of offering, came to the assembly to make offerings to the Tathagata and the bhikshus. Intently gazing at the Tathagata, they were like filial sons beholding their father, or like the thirsty longing for a drink of water. In the same way, they loved and thought of their Dharma father. With one mind, they all wanted to request the Dharma king to turn the right Dharma wheel. With their senses undistracted, one by one, their minds flowed towards the Buddha. At that time, bhikshus, bhikshunis, upasikas, and upasikas, as well as gods, dragons, spirits, Gandharvas, Asuras, Garudas, Kimnaras, Maharogas, humans, non-humans, and others, and Swiss people, all arose from their seats and circumambulated the Buddha to the right. Then they each fully prostrated themselves on the ground, shedding tears, before the Buddha. That's enough. But it sounds quite interesting, doesn't it? Quite nice, quite human. Okay, we're going to do short meditation. What I want you to do is take a comfortable posture. The main thing is that you have a straight back because of the subtle energies and winds. You want them to move softly, gently, without being blocked. So not sitting like this, and not in your lazy boy with feet up, lying back. In Australia, we have a seat called lazy boy. So the main thing is to have a straight back, head not straight out, not up too far, and not too far down. If you have your head back like this, agitation. If you have your head too far down, you can get sleepy. So straight ahead, slightly down, eyes half open, looking at the end of the nose, the tip of the nose, at the ground in front, not so that you can look at the carpet and say exactly what the carpet is, but just that there's some light coming into the mind, keeping you awake. Now, the hands, usually we have the left hand supporting the right hand and the thumbs together. But for this meditation, I want you to put your hands on your abdomen. There's a special reason for this. I want you to take 3 deep breaths through your nose and breathe out through your mouth. And when you're breathing out, as if you're breathing out into a straw. Okay, not like that, but, as if you're blowing gently. So take a deep breath in through the nostrils. Count 4. 4. Pause slightly. Breathing out as if you're blowing into a straw. Now, next breath, when you're breathing in, I want you to check that the hands are moving. And again. And then you go back to normal breathing. Breathing through the nostrils, breathing all the way down into the abdomen. Make sure that the hands are moving so that you're breathing deeply. You're energizing from the breath.
Hello?
Breathe all the way down into the abdomen. Breathing in peace and breathing out thoughts. Becoming aware of the mind, the clarity and the spaciousness of the mind. This is its true nature, without boundaries, without discrimination. Just clear light mind. And what obscures that clear light is karma and delusion. There are times of clarity, times when we're aware of that clear light nature of mind. And then we go back to experiencing karma and delusion. So with each breath, as if the karma and delusion is black smoke, you breathe the karma and the delusion out. And you breathe in light and energy and love. And that light and energy and love permeate your body, transforming your body and all the organs, the blood, the bones, the cells, everything transforms into light and love. So that the vibration of your body changes, transforms. You're not thinking about love. You're not thinking about being light, but you are light. You are love. And that's what you radiate to those around you and to all sentient beings, no matter who they are, no matter their karmic appearance. You radiate light and love to all sentient beings who all deserve to receive your light and your love. And if you can imagine at least your family and your friends receiving your light and love and also transforming. Don't think of them as being irritable or difficult, but just transform them into light, into love, being happy. Whenever disturbing thoughts arise, you breathe them out. And from your heart, you offer light and love to your family, to your friends, and all suffering sentient beings, wherever they may be. May they be happy. May they be happy. May they be happy. And then slowly bringing your awareness back to the room you're sitting in, the cushion you're sitting on, and the meditation we've just been doing. In your own time, please finish your meditation. Okay, Nina, I'm ready. Any questions? Any confusion? She's looking. Couldn't possibly be any. Totally
I have
clear.
a question, teacher.
I hear Sophie Chung.
Yes, that's me. Hello.
That's you.
Yes. Good afternoon from Hong Kong.
Good evening.
Yes, I have.
What can I do with your confusion?
You just purify my confusion. I think I'm asking actually it's both ways of seeing my same confusion. Today I look at Facebook. A Facebook friend, actually she is a he, and she is living in Paris, and she has a
she is a he living in Paris. Okay.
Yeah. And I'll call her she, and she has been what she has been doing is she goes shopping and showing the little things that she buys from the shop. And today just share happily with us that all the little shops, they are opening up again and they are on sale. And she's a very nice person, and she has good taste, and she shows she shops and she shows she shops at two pair of shoes, something like that. And then I just couldn't help, and then I left a message. Beautiful.
Oh, what did you do? Come on, Sophie, tell us what you did.
I did was beautiful. All three items you bought are beautiful. I really feel that they're beautiful from the bottom of my heart in the samsaric sense. Then the most beautiful is you are enjoying yourself. And what I gather was she was really happy, and she was a really sincere person, and she's genuine sharing her happiness. And as a Dharma practitioner, we all know she is delusory. She's very delusory because she's dressed like in Chanel suits and well makeup, not like me in Sloppy Joe. And I think as a Dharma practitioner, I should be spacious enough to appreciate and applaud her. She is actually bringing a little bit of joy to me, rather than people being very miserable and not knowing what that maybe from what you have taught us, delusory and shopping, not environmentally friendly, fancy shoes. And
Hang on a minute, I didn't say shopping was bad. I just said shopping's bad for me. Except I got Big W and Kmart, not Jimmy Choo.
Yeah. So what I
So what's the problem?
The problem is, I gather for quite a while is all the practice is actually about myself. It's not me trying to correct other people because they are on their path. So I am not doing anything because I'm not doing anything. I shouldn't go out to people telling them, oh, you shouldn't do this. You shouldn't be happy. You shouldn't be too happy with material things. Because on one hand, I might, in my little strategic mind, I think, oh, this person, oh, her path to enlightenment must be long and winding because she is still trapped in the material objects. My confusion is, what is my position in a place like this, and vice versa. Somebody, they are really, really miserable, and I think maybe they are on the right path as well, because if they suffer really deep and painful, someday they will open up, and everybody is on the path. So
or not.
What is my position?
Okay.
What is my action? Or I just give them blessing and do all or the tantric practices you talk, I don't know where to put myself, or I shouldn't even think. Maybe I think too much.
Maybe you think too much. Maybe your brain is too big. You see, I've got to be very careful because I'm speaking to lots of samsaric shoppers on this screen. And suddenly there might be a lot of black screens as they click off, as I say, stop shopping.
They feel offended.
I sort of go back to, Lama Yeshe. And Lama Yeshe used to say to people in Nepal, Westerners in Nepal, in the sort of late 60s, early 70s, when they were going down to the visa office, he used to say, dress up, look clean, look nice, otherwise you won't get a visa. Right? So if you're empty of ego, your dressing then becomes the means to make others happy, as opposed to making you happy. So you're talking about somebody that we can't evaluate. I don't know whether she's making herself happy in order to make others happy or just making others happy. We can't judge. We can't say, right? But the fact that if she has the money, if she's not borrowing the money, if she has her own money and she can afford what she's buying, well, why not? If she wants to look attractive, why not? If her looking attractive makes others happy, why not? Should we all look ugly? I mean, I spend hours on my face. And look at the result. Hours before I come on this camera. These lights are blinding, I can tell you. But you know what I mean? We could all just sort of be, dirty and sort of, if you have hair hanging down and looking like that, well, then what effect would that have on the people around you? You don't use deodorant. You don't clean your nails. You don't cut your nails. You don't cut your hair. You just look like a dirty hippie. So there were people living at Kopan in the late 60s, early 70s, who thought, what we're talking about, who thought you give up. Dirty clothes, ripped, T-shirts, filthy. And like that, you go down to the visa office and say, please, sir, I'm a valuable person. I want to stay another 3 months. And they say, no, thank you very much. So that's one thing. I think second thing is, second example I can give you is Chogyam Trungpa. Chogyam Trungpa, for me, was really the wild child of Buddhism in the 70s into the early 80s. And I know so many stories about Chogyam Trungpa, but one of them was that the Karmapa, 16th Karmapa, was coming to the United States. And by that time, Chogyam Trungpa had a lot of hippie students. And so he said to his hippie students, okay, Karmapa's coming, you all have to wear a suit. And they went, a suit? I don't even have one. Where am I going to get a suit from? So he told them, you go to secondhand shops and you get a suit. But if you're going to meet the Karmapa, you're going to look clean and you're going to wear a suit. He lost half of his students. But the ones who stayed became more disciplined and more caring about their looks. So I think in a way, when you have morality, when you have discipline, this also goes along with appearance, how you project yourself to the world, because I can tell you, if you live in Zurich and you look dirty and disgusting, but you say to somebody in a coffee shop, I must tell you about Dharma, following the Bodhisattva path, that person in the Zurich coffee shop is probably going to rush out because of the BO, because of the bad smell, because of the disgusting clothes you're wearing. You may be an enlightened being, but our society judges you based on superficial appearances, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you've got
Maybe
to start with superficial appearance, clean, tidy. I'm not saying you have to buy Jimmy Choo's $2,000 or anything like that, but look clean, look presentable, so that others can, without any barrier, can talk to you, and then you can bring Dharma into the conversation if you can. You can help them if you can, but your appearance is not an obstacle, and your appearance is not because of your ego, but because of your wish to benefit others, your wish to connect with others.
Mm-hmm. I think I got less confused now, but my question is, on one hand, there seems to be an urgency to liberate us, all of us, from from suffering.
Yeah.
And on the other hand, it seems that everybody is on the right path. Who are we so um in quote egoistic to point out how they suffer? How can we balance the two? I hope I have made my question clear. There seems to be an urgency, but in the example I've given, it seems that we are on the right path. I know Buddhism is paradoxical. There's urgency, but on the other hand, people seems to be fine in their own way or on their own path. And how do we know that we know better? How can we contribute in a way that's not egoistic, not judgmental, not
Well, that's what I was saying about you have to go inside and experience your own suffering and your own pain in order to understand others. But others need to understand their suffering and their pain and express it to you. So when your friend who's been madly shopping and buying shoes and, Chanel or Dior or whatever it is, one day says to you, "Oh my goodness, Sophie, I'm suffering.
Mm-hmm.
I do all these things to be happy, but still I feel unhappy. I'm suffering." You were there with your acceptance and your love and your openness so that that person can express their feelings to you. But if you're judgmental and, tut-tutting on Facebook, ooh, you're spending more money, you're shopping again, they're not likely to then talk about deeper feelings. They're talking about superficial things, but you have to wait for them to go deeper.
So unless and until they come to ask for advice, we should shut up, isn't it? We just silently give the dedications to them, isn't it? How we do it? Okay.
This one. Lock the lips. Because otherwise you become evangelist, proselytizing, going out telling everybody how they should live, what they should be. But you're a hypocrite because you're not actually doing it yourself.
Yep.
So you have to live the Dharma.
Yep.
And then people will come to you and ask for advice because they see you're getting happier and happier. You're better and better. But if you're going down, dirtier, hair hanging down, looking more unhappy, people aren't going to come to you and say, "Wow, what's the secret?"
Yeah.
You understand?
Okay. Yes.
All right.
Yes. Thank you,
2
teacher.
thumbs up.
Thank you so much.
Another question.
Welcome.
Different type of love on the chat, so I will read it if I may. There is a question from someone who had a karmic relationship with a man, and relationship a woman, and the relationship stopped. It doesn't say that precisely in the question, but it says since 3 years my heart feels closed. What can I do to lose the fear, not to be hurt again, and to open my heart up again?
I'm a little bit confused. They have a karmic relationship,
and I think the relationship stopped. So there was this lady asking the question: should the relationship was a relationship with a man? And since the relationship is over, since 3 years, her heart feels very close.
Oh, I see. So in a relationship, and then it finished, And it's 3 years later, but she's still hurting.
Still hurting, her heart feels closed, and she's asking what could she do to open her heart again.
I think if you're not the one who decides the relationship finishes, then you're in danger of becoming a victim. So when you put yourself into the victim role, then that victim role continues on. And it's that this was done to me. I think the person who finishes the relationship is sort of in the superior position, you know, because they can say, okay, I'm leaving because you're the bad person. You did these things wrong. You should have been better, or whatever it is. So I'm off because I'm superior and you're inferior. And then if that happens and you own the inferiority, if you own the sort of the lower part of the relationship, that I'm the wronged, the one who's done things wrong, then I think it can trigger low self-esteem, low self-confidence, lack of self-love, lack of trust, because you opened your heart to somebody and then they, you know, poof, came down on you. It's a difficult one because you've got to start over, and you've got to start over in here. This is what I was saying about you have to go into your own suffering, your own pain, and give it space. And when you give it space and openness, because the mind is limitless, there's limitless space, but we feel that the space is very limited. So we feel that the amount of love that we have, that we're capable of, is very limited, but actually it's limitless. So we have to start with that limited feeling, which is her closed feeling, and then breathing into it, giving light and love to it, start to nourish it and cherish it, and start to allow it to open. And somebody just asked me yesterday about trust, and somebody was asking her for money, and she was saying, how do I trust? And I said, well, in samsara, who is there to trust? Right? We all have these disturbing emotions. We all have these afflictions. We all have karma. So who is there to trust? The only real ones you can trust are the Buddhas. So I told her, start to develop a trust for the Buddha or for Tara, because you know they will never let you down. And in that way, you can start to open your heart, because you can really open your heart towards Tara or towards Shakyamuni Buddha or Manjushri, whichever Buddha you feel relationship with. Start to open your heart towards them, and you can totally trust them. They will never let you down. But sentient beings can let you down and will let you down. So I think the problem within samsara is that we sort of virtually donate our hearts to somebody else when we're in love. You know, we give ourselves over to them. And then when it goes wrong, we feel that it's been trashed. You know, your heart's been sort of stabbed a million times. And now what am I going to do? I think this is love with attachment. And now what we're training in is love without attachment, so that I'm not looking for anything back. I'm just looking to give. There's a difference in it. You understand? Hello, Nina? Are you there?
I'm there. I'm not sure if the person asking the question wanted to add or say something, or is satisfied. I suppose she's okay.
Well, you know, what I said is really heavy. Because I'm not saying, oh, it's easy, you know, it's a quick fix or anything like that. I'm not saying that. I understand that when a relationship finishes, it's very heavy. It's very painful. And then you can end up 3 years later in the sort of desert, where you can't feel any warmth, any love. And that's horrible for somebody to feel internally, that they're sort of in a desert, not outer desert. It's in here. So I think, this is really important for this person, is to start having that feeling of, I want to open, but I must open safely because of the trust issues, because of low self-esteem, low self-confidence, these sort of things. So I think the meditation I did also could be helpful. This sort of breathing in, allowing, opening. It's a gradual process. It's not going to happen overnight, but to be willing to have a bigger heart and more love towards sentient beings, I think then makes you a much better person. Another one, Nina?
Yes, there is one about karma. If there's time for this, because it's a little bit off the topic of love, but not so much. So
you can try.
There is a question: what causes negative karma from an action to carry more or less weight?
Sorry,
So, what causes negative karma from any action to carry more or less weight? So be more or less
result.
Yeah. What causes a negative karma? When we cause a negative karma, which action has more weight and which action has less weight? What's the determinant?
Well, it depends on the object towards whom you do the karma. So your mother and father, which is horrific, very powerful objects. The Buddha said, same as the Buddha. So you've got very powerful are the Buddhas, Shakyamuni Buddha, but the Buddhas. And then your mother and father are as powerful. And then all sentient beings. So I think depends on the power of the object, and then one karmic action, just one time. I'm going to steal this flower, and that's it. Do it only once. It's not as powerful as every day or every week. I steal this flower. I steal this flower. I steal this flower. And then it starts to become a habit. And then you've got to have the full power, the 4 parts of the karma, that you have the object, you have the intention, you have the motivation, etc. You have the actual action. And then at the end, there's the completion of the action. I take the flower and then I'm happy I've got it. But if I take the flower and I think, oh, what on earth am I doing? And I put the flower back, it's not as powerful an action as if I have the accomplishment of the action. So karma is complicated. And I keep saying I should teach a whole series on karma, because I think for Westerners, it's a very distasteful subject. We don't like it so much because it seems like it's all very, it's like this, it's like this, it's like this. And I think for Westerners, we can start to get this feeling of, my goodness, it's like I'm in a prison. But unless we know how karma operates, how on earth are we going to become enlightened? Because we've got to avoid these negative actions that are going to be very heavy. And we need to know that we've created those negative actions in order to purify them and be able to go beyond them. So I think karma actually is very complicated, but there's the power of the object, and then particularly repeating the action over and over and over, that then would make things much more powerful, much more negative. So I think we're nearly at 7 o'clock. We still have the dedication prayers to do. Looks like Nina's disappeared. Nina, are you there? Do you have one more, or we dedicate?
There are no more questions. Okay, there is one. How can we develop love sincerely to everyone? Which I think this course is on. So I think the answers will come. How to develop love sincerely toward everyone. That's the question. Very sweet.
How to develop love towards everybody?
Sincere love towards everybody.
Oh, sincere.
Yes.
Sincere. I think the opposite of sincere, unsincere, fake, duplicate. You know, in India, they say that you can be a duplicate person. It's like a photocopy. So you can be like photocopy love, duplicate love, where, you know, I really love you. I really care about you, Nina. And then as soon as you're off the screen, who cares? So that wouldn't be sincere. So I think what that person's talking about is a very deep experience from the heart, not just from the lips. You know, the Tibetans say from the throat or from the heart. So is it love coming from here or coming from here? So as you said, our progression through these 4 weeks is aiming to go to this deeper feeling, not just that I love you because I want something back, or I love you because it's convenient, or because it's political, or because it's societal, or whatever it is. But I really love you from the heart, meaning I just want you to be happy and there's nothing in it for me. How to do that, I think we need to explore together over the 4 weeks, because you've got ideas. I'll try to give some ideas. Thich Nhat Hanh's got some ideas. Maitreya's got some ideas, and we put it all together, and then we try to figure it out together. Because I don't claim to have all the answers, but I'm just trying to help us to move in the direction of investigating more, wanting others to be happy. Nina, over to you.
Yes. So no more questions from.
Now I know why in the news they say, "And back to you," because there's a time lapse. So I sort of finish, and then I sit here, and then back to Nina.
And there's another phenomenon where when you sit like this, it seems like you froze on the screen, and I'm not sure if you are still trying to say something or not. No, we're
in trouble.
Also for responding to all of those.
Okay, no problem. So we'll do some dedication prayers. I don't know if everybody can do it together, but I'll just read Shantideva because I think very appropriate for what we're doing. And if people want to just sit and meditate, they can just listen. So we're going to dedicate all the merit that we've accumulated here for the well-being and happiness of all sentient beings, particularly in those countries where the virus is very strong and affecting many, many people. Therefore, many families, many friends are really suffering because of the virus, and they don't have the Dharma, so they don't know what to do. So may they have all the causes of happiness and none of the causes of suffering. And then in Shantideva's words, may all beings everywhere, plagued by sufferings of body and mind, obtain an ocean of happiness and joy by virtue of my merits. May no living creature suffer, commit evil, or ever fall ill. May no one be afraid or belittled with a mind weighed down by depression. May the blind see forms and the deaf hear sounds. May those whose bodies are worn with toil be restored and finding repose. May the naked find clothing, the hungry find food. May the thirsty find water and delicious drinks. May the poor find wealth, those weak with sorrow find joy. May the forlorn find hope, constant happiness and prosperity. May there be timely rains and bountiful harvests. May all medicines be effective and wholesome prayers bear fruit. May all who are sick and ill quickly be freed from their ailments. Whatever diseases there are in the world, may they never occur again. May the frightened cease to be afraid, and those bound be freed. May the powerless find power, and may people think of benefiting each other. For as long as space remains, for as long as sentient beings remain. Until then, may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. Thanks, Nina. Thanks, Jeff. Thank you all.
Thank you, teacher.
Bye.
Bye.
See you next
week.
see you next week.
Thank you, Guru.
Bye.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.